Okay, this is the hunting log. That's for the Thaumaturge. The one for the Conjurer is different. I'm about to go look for the bomb and the copper coblin there. And from there, let's see here, is... Okay, there was the R1 of that. Not sure if you can... Yeah, there you go. That's L1 and L2. And R1 and R2 type thing in that means as far as your buttons in that sense there. And you're going to hit the R11 in this case instead of R2, and then you're going to hit R1 and the down arrow or this arrow here in that means to get over to your log. Okay. Oops. Okay, now in that log, you're going to want there, in there, taking that type of sense, that's gathering log and the hunting log, and you're going to want to press that here in that means. So now that's R2 right there, which is your R2. And then that's a hunting log from the center to that center there to the log. So it's R2 to pull back on it and this button here at the same time. R2 and that button there. R2 and that button there at the same time. Once you do those, you can get into your log. Oh man. And that is here. And it seems like it's a lot to do with nothing type thing that means. And it's very impressive to keep saying the nothing that it is there in that means. And that's the hunting log with the Thaumaturge in that sense. That's reward for doing that whole list. And there's 0 out of 36. That is rank 1 and rank 2 of that hunting log. That's the bomb and the copper coblin. 0 and 3, 0 and 2, and once you get done with both, you get another 2300, which seems like that's the total of it, type thing in that type of sense. You'll see some other values go up with it in association with it next to it, like it was 500 or something like that in that type of means. I don't think it is, type thing in that type of sense. That's 9,262 on this side. That's 11,000 on that side. That's off by 2,000. Once I get done with just those two creatures, which is 2,300, I'm going to be 800 into level 11. And it doesn't seem like that's the way that information goes because, again, cleverness, or innovation, or hybrid, or genius, or smart, or something. But that is a means of gaining some more experience within Final Fantasy. Okay, now if you click into that here, that's Western Thanalon, which we're in, and there's another mini map type thing with the horizon's edge. So we're going to go into the Western Thanalon, and then we're going to go to the horizon's edge here to get these creatures. This, however, is right outside of Western Thanalon Gate of the Alda steps, and that's at the beginning. And the horizon edge on the other map is not at the beginning. Like that. Okay, that's a hammer Leah in that means. And so that is not the horizon. We're still working on that here. Scorpion crossing. Okay, now that's the second map. That's the first map type thing there. And that's a chocobo handler type thing there. And that's a chocobo keeper. And let's see here. You get to select into the map, which is really square. And then square again. And that's a hammer Leah. There's a fate full active time event going on. That's the horizon, and that's where we just left in that means. It is too far for me to walk as a 10th level character without a mount service, which is a company seal thing or something like that next to those free company and grand company people. I think you can ask for free and company information in there. Now it's going to the horizon. The grand company's like the story of the, what do you call it? The main story, the Twin Adder and the Immortal Flames. The free company, I think, is the free company estate for your ward district or residential area. Okay, Sunrise Gate, and then Horizon's Edge. And then right then and there, that's what says that, and that's horizon's edge where the bomb and the copper coblin are supposed to be. Okay, this took a while to find. I was searching all around for different creatures, and then got a little bit turned here, and then went into a different section of Horizon. There's some minor guild ones that look appropriate here, and then boom, backside of Horizon in this abandoned mine area is the bomb and the copper goblins. Copper goblins. And that's confirmation. Those are the creatures that we were looking for. And that's who they are. Let's begin. Make sure to protect your other things on you. Food reservations type thing are also a plus. Raisins, pearl chocolates, things to raise your vitality and stamina, casting speed, accuracy. I think my orange juice says piety or something like that. You can buy those at culinary stands independently, but or you can, I guess, bought the culinary or something of that nature. Okay. And let's see. So right then and there, that's the end kick in. Here, 199 experience. And I think it says plus 100 right there in that type of sense. They were on your log in that means. Yeah. Let's freeze there. And in that sense, that's the copper goblin and the bomb, and you see the symbol above the bomb is like a moon thing in that type of sense. That lets you know that that's part of your hunt log. Not everybody, using a duty one will get a card or something in that nature, and in this one type thing, this is the hunt log one, showing that it's not a duty, it is part of a different crafting log, hunting log, that's not part of your journal log type thing as far as a regular duty finder. Now, that one again is at 229 and 130. That's at level 10. Helm of Light doesn't work with level 10, so I went ahead and took that off. Okay. Now on that, there's that symbol, the double crescent, Comedy Central, hunting log, bomb. That's entry 11 in the hunting log journal, I believe, which means it's 10 on the first page and 1 on the second page, so I think in that type of sense. 10 plus 1 would be 11 log entries type thing, or guest ledgers type thing, that type of sense. And then that 11th entry coming on the first, too many numbers, the next page. Not sure what that is here. And that's here. It's 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 type thing that means. And so now that's 10 and then 1 type thing. So 10 plus 1 on a calculator here is 10 plus 1, and that's equal to 11, entry number 11. Now on that page, that's page 1 and page 2 type thing in that sense here. And so it's entry 11 on page 2 from that. Okay, now from this one we got 10 ore and 244 experience and 100 plus 145. Is that what I'm looking at here? And yeah, plus 145 there. Alrighty. And exit out of that again. It's gonna be. And it's definitely X to do so. Yeah. that was me leveling there. Now it's 869 out of 1500. That's a 2300 experience there and 199 experience there, and that means, which all that experience beforehand did not add up to 2300, and I believe it's stacked on top of it. It could have come close, I think, so it might be equal to each other. Along with the result when we were 9,000 and 11,000 out of Thaumaturge 10 type thing in that type of sense, which is now 11 type thing. There was 9,000 here and 11,000 for that, which is 2 grand off, plus another 800 beyond that type thing in that type of sense, so about 3,400 experience. The experience of the log adds on for you completing pieces of it along with the individual creatures type thing in that type of sense. Their mana type thing along with that is a difference of how you go along hunting that in the hunting log type thing of the Comedy Central sees in that means there in that type for that surmisal. Okay, now this is video 4. I think I can do this. Okay, that's video 4. That's video 3. And there's entry 11 right there. Thaumaturge 11. From risk 2, and that's 10. 10 plus 1 is 11 type thing. Here on this side, that's 10 plus 1, which is 11, which is the 11th entry type thing, which is the bomb and the copper one with the 2300 experience reward on top of that. For those who are looking for other experience to do, although feeling that the hunting log is inhumane. But there are other means of experience in the game along with the journal experience ones of the regular adventure or main story one. Yeah, that gave me access to 11th level gloves. That was really weird. Okay. And now that I've hit Thaumaturge 11, which is 11, and that's Thaumaturge 11 type thing, I can wear those gloves with intelligence and accuracy, and vitality and mind, and defense 6, magic defense 13, and that type of means. I didn't go back immediately to my total character to show that your character profile. I think if you pull back on R2 and circle on that, you'll go into your character and see that. And I updated my register of that. There we go. When I had the triangle up there in that type of means, that updated the register of the items that I associate with my Thaumaturge class. That's my hit points, 222 right then and there, 267 mana, and that's green, and that's purple type thing that means. It's kind of close to each other, but they're not. And that's my intelligence in this class is 50, mind and piety, with the vitality carrying over being Rogadun, and playing a little bit of Conjurer beforehand. 83 accuracy, magic defense is 83, 47 defense, 82 parry, 222 green hit points, and in that means spell speed of 83, and that's my mana type thing, and secrets of mana type thing that means, and that's my hit points in there type thing. It's a little bit to keep up with, but definitely not that much to keep up with without alternative definitions for what's going on. Now in this one, that's the black brush, some creatures are in there. And that's the clutch right there, taking a tip of sense, and that's where we're gonna go fight some cactuar. Mirroring Squall and the needles, 1,000 needles type thing for those playing Final Fantasy before. Probably pretty familiar. These are not those types of material special abilities. A mount comes with company seals, and you have to go to that grand company. There's a bunch of people in there. If you turn around, you'll see a sergeant or equipment master. You might see something that says OIC on it, taking that type of sense. The one in Gridania is above the Carling canopy, like across from like the Carpenters Guild. Not enough label in it. But you'll see guys with like orange or orangish yellow suits and a train conductor's hat. That's the Grand Company register. There's 2 tables in there. The one table's got, both tables have 2 people in it. One's got a free company in it, and the other one's got a Grand Company in it, and the other one's like a quartermaster. The seals are like writ of transits or something like that. And you need like 2,000 voucher writs type thing to get a mount. And that's who you talk to. You've got to register one of the Grand Companies, not the free company that charges out your house estate. Like my house estate is the Radiant Dawn, and so they are not the Twin Adder Grand Company type thing. They're a free company. That free company and the Grand Company are the exact same thing because of the word company. So that's different words, I think, with different responsibilities, free and grand. But once you find them, I'm not in the video game, I'm like in the video right now, so I will at some point do that. I was going to post a video on it, but I haven't started the rest of the storyline with my Thaumaturge, with passing muster type thing and talking to Mother Minuine, so I never finished that along with Brother Yamasan type thing, or Yumisan, and Sophie, and people like that. And then the mother, it's all on YouTube, but I got a little bit off of my main storyline, so I'm just starting to get back to that. And I'm still looking for it, because sometimes they're a little bit off the mark type thing, or they're northeast or northwest instead of direct north, like in the vicinity of it. And the cactuars are going to be right ahead. You're going to go from level creatures around of sunbats at 11, which is similar type thing, but not similar creature type, and then suddenly just end up with the cactuars. See. And that's how Puri is type thing with the protect. That's the shield. That's the protect type thing with the blue crystal. And in that, it says that percentage on that with that. That was antacid type thing in a sense, like kill type. More or less their mandibles, chew, digestion, they spit back up. Dodge the jaws there. cast to make sure that I can get off the cure or damage spell. And now this one's interesting here. That's 25 and 8. That's my protect and cure I brought from Conjuring without Stone Skin, because again, I'm not 34 Conjurer to bring that over. But this is 25 fire and 8 fire. Okay? And we're going to see that here, in that. Those are the cactars from the list. Okay, now that was 25 here, and now it's 12. So when you bounce back and forth from ice, blizzard, to fire, and that means, let me put this controller down. That's your gyroscope energy ball type thing, that type of sense, from your umbral type thing. Umbrella, umbral. Now that's your blizzard, and then fire. Fire, blizzard, blizzard, fire, one choice type thing in that type of sense. Blue and red. And from that one choice, in that is your umbral back and forth type thing. It's like an actuator type thing that means. And so you're switching the dial. Every time you're doing that, when you cast one, you cut the other cost of the other spell in half. Now, in that, you would if you don't do this, you're going to need transpose. And the reason being, type thing in that type of sense, it's going to keep bouncing those things from lower mana cost than the 25 because you're casting the other side choice type thing in that type of sense. And it's going to cut the other one in half, but it's also going to cut its potential damage in half type thing in that type of sense. If you want to ignore the other sister of it type thing, you can stay with fire, then fire, then fire, then fire, and then fire again if you want to type thing, and that means. But the cost of the mana is going to go up to 40 and 50 type thing in that type of sense. Transpose here acts like this was in your mix type thing to cut down your mana cost while still managing the damage cost type thing in that type of sense. And it's very confusing, and it isn't without different rules. They're not the same things. So it'll get cheaper to cast, but the damage will stay exactly where it was type thing when you transpose that. This will go down, but this will stay at its over 50 or 100 or something like that in that type of sense. This won't go down. When this is at 50 mana type thing, your damage will be like at 50 damage type thing in that type of sense. And so when you cut both in half type thing, you should get 25 and 25, but you don't. What you're going to do is you're going to get 12 mana and 50 damage type thing in that type of sense. The transpose is going to act as if it was the umbral ice in exchange for that and give you the lower mana cost type thing in that type of sense while maintaining the same damage. That's the purpose of transpose. But if you've been going back and forth, transpose won't work on your already 8 and 12 energy type thing. There's nothing for it to transpose. It already cut, your umbral ice already cut the 25 fire down to 12 type thing in that type of sense. So it's already in a sense transposed. So it's 25 and that's 12 type thing in that means. And you have the 12 and 8 damage type thing in that sense. And that's also very complicated. It already transposed what the blizzard was doing type thing out there, so there's nothing for it. It won't transpose it down to 6 or 4 or something like that. It only works without, if you already did the transposition of the ice, the blizzard spell to fire, or the fire spell to blizzard, then you won't, it already cut that to 12, and the transpose, I don't believe, it grayed out type thing in that type of sense, and it's not going to cut that from 25 to 12 to 6 type thing that means. And that's also impossible type thing in that type of means. It's not going to do that. It's already at the cutoff mark, at the 12 mark type thing, and it's not going to do the last step one type thing in that type of thing, which it isn't. It's going to stop at the 12 one in that type of thing. Because it's already been transposed once. type thing in that type of sense. It's already gone from the 25 to 12 through the umbral ice one. So now that's the umbral ice, and that's also the transpose type thing in that type of sense on that. That's 25 to 12, and that's ice and transpose at the same time type thing in that type of sense. And it's already functioned once, and then the other one's not going to function anything. There's just two functions on it to create the 12 to 12 type thing that type of means. I know that doesn't make any sense type thing, because that's all it's going to do. It's just going to repeat what it's already been cut in half to do type thing in that type of sense. But if you're going to put a different logic of cards in it type thing, then, I'm going to put a different logic in it in that type of sense, you're just going to be right. Yeah. It just won't fire off type thing because that's not the logic it operates under. Yeeks. But every time you're using that fire or ice trick type thing, you're going back and forth in between. You're getting just regular damage, not circle upon circle damage. And so in that type thing, that means I've got to get more paper. These things aren't explained, and then it's left up to your imagination or non-imagination type thing to say is the same. Now, in that type thing, this will stay within ring 1's damage type thing in that sense. I know it seems like it's got two circles on it type thing in that type of sense, but it's really just doing the same thing for the fire and ice one, and it's never escalating that up into your ring 4 damage in that type of means. Even though it's got concentric circles in one type thing in that type of sense, it's really in the first grid there type thing and not in the fourth grid. So I'm saving mana, but I'm not going up in damage capability. It should be ×4 bigger type thing in that type of sense, but it isn't because of the way of the mana cost that I'm maintaining. If I let that fire and ice umbral thing go and just keep casting fire and fire and fire type thing in that type of sense, which is what you're doing in that means. And it isn't. There's so many quick ways for this to feel like it's the same thing, and it's not. And so that's fire in that means there, and it's very complicated when you're putting in other definitions type thing in a sense. And that's right. Those are the same things that are not. They're not the same order of magnitude. If you don't use that, you're going to have to use the transposition one or suffer the consequence of burning up 259 mana or something like that because you cast 4 fire spells in a row. Now, if you go back and forth on this one type thing, you probably won't drop out of 229 mana. This probably won't drop you underneath 180 mana at any time, but it won't do the same damage as the one with the 4 fires in a row. That'll be 300, and this will be 120 type thing. Yeah. Even with going back and forth, but you still have mana to go with, though, type thing on this other side, type thing in that type of sense. Yeah. Now, on that one, here is my mana. There, that's my hit points here. I'm at 176. And notice, I've been casting a bunch of spells. That's their damage type thing that they've gone through. And I'm at a quiet 260 purple mana. I'm almost at max because of the way that I'm bouncing back and forth between this fire and ice spell. And I know that's impossible type thing in that type of sense, but that's what happens when you manage your mana queue type thing, and you're not jacking with other theories type thing that seem more reasonable. Yeah. Because at least I have more mana for the next spell type thing that means. Being a caster without enough other elements that aren't casting related, you don't want to run out of mana. Okay, now that's the hunting log there, and that was the 12th one. And there we go. That's 3 of those guys, and I'll get a reward just like the other one for 2,300 for 3,200 in there for the hunting log there for the Thaumaturge, which is different from my other class of hunting log type thing in that type of sense. I think once you circle out of this, which is their cancel button, circle all of that into that list, then you can hit R1 or L1 type thing that means, which is R1 and L1, which it isn't. That's R1 and R2, and that's L1 and L2 type thing. When you hit R1 or L1, you can cycle back and forth out of there. There's no L1 or R1 indicators in that to let you know that that's how that can switch to type thing, that type of sense. But I believe that's how you move that back and forth.